Okay, I'm live, and I'm supposed to have me a special guest in a few minutes if he gets his camera set up. And I hope everybody's having a good Father's Day. Hope everybody's going to have a good Father's Day today. We'll see if we can get a few people in here. See if we can get a few popping in here and there. We'll try to get something going here. Oh, okay. And there he is. There's my son, Steve.
Happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you, son. Tilt your camera down. You got your camera down a little. There you go. Now I can see a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit better of you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah. Well, you're new at it. And for everybody that's jumping in here right now, this is my son, Steve Jones. Yeah, I'm getting a few pop in here. Hey, Greg. Hey, Rigo. North Carolina trucker. Hey, Philip. How are you? Happy Father's Day to you too, Philip. And yeah. And right here, like I said, this where it says Steve's Chromebook, you ought to change the title, at least your full name, Steve Jones.
I'm going incognito.
Incognito, okay.
Right.
You don't want them to know that you're my son, huh? No,
right.
No resemblance.
Nope.
Okay. Well, happy Father's Day to you too, son, since you have a 15-year-old son.
Yeah, mine's still in bed.
Yeah, I would imagine. He's probably you're like they said, think trucking to a junior there.
That's right.
Yeah. Although Steve is not into the trucking industry. Steve is a electrical engineer, and for those of you that don't know, and he was on the broadcast. We were kind of experimenting Friday night with this, so I could get him on and see how good everything came through from his location. He's across town. He's about, I guess 4 or 5 miles from here right now. He's across town at his location, at his house. Looks like backed up against the wife's car there.
That's right. I had to find a clean spot in my dirty garage.
Yeah. Well, that happens. You're a chip off the old block.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, how are you? Glad to see you in here this morning. Yeah, we got them popping in here right and left. Hopefully we'll get us a good crowd in here this Sunday morning and get a discussion of different things going on in everybody's life and stuff like that. It's sort of we just wing it like we always do. And my son, he's good at winging it too. Like I said, he's a chip off the old block. So I'm proud of him. I'll give you a little bit of background about my son. He went to NC State and studied electrical engineering and got his BS in computer. It's computer. You got a computer engineering. Yeah, computer engineering degree first, and then of course he minored in computer engineering. I mean, or electrical engineering too. You got electrical engineering, computer engineer degree, and then he got a job back in '95. Was it '95, Steve?
Yes.
95. He got a job. He graduated in '95 from NC State, and then he got a job immediately. He got hired by Reliance Electric, which was at that time was a division of Rockwell. Yeah, Rockwell Automation.
Right.
And then they got bought out by Baldor, who makes a lot of most of the guys out here that do a lot of mechanical work and everything. They'll see what did I mess up something on the spell check, Chris? Yours. Yeah, I see yours. Okay. Yeah, that's Chris Richards. That's Chris Richards. Outcast Projects is Chris Richards from. He's out in Kansas, And
I'm the slob too sometimes, so or sob.
yeah, yeah, the sob, yeah. But yeah, my son, but yeah, he. As I was getting back to the story, Steve graduated from NC State '95, then went on to he immediately got hired, which is great. By
Yeah, off the college debt.
yeah, it was great. He had actually you'd actually done an intern with them though, hadn't you, Steve?
No, not with
Okay,
him. I
no,
worked summer with Carolina Freight actually that year.
I forgot. I couldn't remember if you'd interned with them or not. But anyway, he got hired by them, and he's been with them since 1995, which is great because it's only about 12 miles away from our hometown here. So it's over in Kings Mountain, Shelby area. And then to go on with the story, Baldor was bought out by ABB. And where are they from? Where are they from, Steve?
It's a conglomerate between Sweden and Finland. So Helsinki, Finland, and
Sweden.
I forget the name. There's a big when I went over there. It was Vosters was the name. Vosters was the name of Sweden, but I think there was another one too. But it's a big global company now.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin. There's Kevin Lamar. Kevin is a super trucker. Kevin's out there. Are you driving today, Kevin? Or are you just back at home? I hope you're back at home since it's Father's Day. And hey, comfortable man, how are you? Yeah, we. But anyway, Steve, like I said, that fortunately for me as a father, Steve's been able to work close by, and he built him a home just a few miles from here, and was able to stay close at hand. And then he got married after he had built him a house, and then he got married, and they've been living. Well, you've been in the house 20 something years though, hadn't you?
22, 98 is when we built it.
Yeah, 98 is when we built the house, and then he got married. When did you get married? In 2004. 2004.
Yep.
Okay. I can't remember. All these dates run together after a while for me. But then they have a 15-year-old son, Michael Lee, and hopefully we're going to make another engineer. My son is a lot smarter than me. He decided to get into electrical engineering as opposed to.
But I don't have your street smarts.
Well, thank you, son. Thank you, son. I guess I have to have my street smarts, and I've been trying to teach you over the years some of those things, and hopefully that'll come to fruition one day. I think you pick up on a little bit of it here and there, and some of the things that I made you do as a child is you appreciate it now, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, I'm trying to relay that to my son. A lot of years of hard work, simple task, make for a big attitude difference in the real world, and I think you could say attitude's the main thing on whatever we're doing.
Right. And it is. My dad taught me, did the same thing for me too. I'm one of 4 boys, and my dad always had us. We were raised on a small farm, and we didn't have to have that, but Dad knew that would be the betterment of us to learn how to do all the farm tasks and do everything like that. And he had us hoeing cotton and plowing corn and everything else way past more than most farmers do, but he did it to keep us busy. And by keeping 4 boys busy, worked out pretty good. And that's what I tried to instill into my son, Steve, here. And we had him to learn to do some tasks when he was young. You know how to use a froe.
I know how to chop wood. I was really good at chopping wood. Yeah. Even after we got the gas, I don't know why I was still chopping wood, but I still had to chop wood.
Well, in case we ran out. That's
right.
That's the reason. You never know. You had to be prepared.
That's right.
And everything. But and during that process, though, Steve actually learned to enjoy woodworking, and also was able to, better his knowledge of woodworking. He's done that on his own.
Yeah.
He has done well with woodworking and machine work. So a lot of hands-on things that Steve has picked up over the years, I'm very proud of. I mean, he's an electrical engineer, but he saw the need for a lot of other things other than just electrical engineering. No, I didn't. Chris is asking, did I make him dig a basement by hand? No, I didn't, but my dad made us do that. I saw you doing that, Chris. And when I saw you digging out that Chris has actually got an old farmhouse, to give you a little insight of this, Steve. He's got an old farmhouse, and they took the foundation and shored it up better, and then actually dug a basement underneath it. But we can kind of give a story about that. Steve's house that we built back in 96,
97,
98,
yeah,
was a house that the school system had actually built, and we brought it out and put it up on piers. And we had a basement dug, but we had to do a lot of work very similar to what you did, Chris. But we did that and then actually built the basement underneath it after the foundation was there. So it was a engineering feat within itself too. And it really came out great. We were able to, with all the complications we had within that, we really made a really tight, real dry house and everything else, because it's one of the driest basements I've ever seen, because we went in and took all the extra measures that were available at the time. And we put a lot of rock, a lot of gravel, a lot of waterproofing and everything else. And his basement is, you know how most basements will have a musty smell and everything else. Hey, Heavy Machinery, had to say a shout out to him. He says good afternoon because he's in Austria. And if you see that name, Heavy Machinery, and this is my son. Now his name, I got to remember now. Heavy Machinery's name, real name is Patrick, and he's from Austria. You have to think about it. No, we don't have. We got some pictures of that, Chris, but we don't have any. I don't think we got any video of the house.
No.
But we got some pictures of it as we were doing that, because it was actually up on big I-beams.
They had all that wooden cribbing that made it basically like a tripod. I had that wooden cribbing, and that's what the house was under I-beams, and we had all that wooden cribbing that beams house moving set up for us.
Yeah.
And then we built the basement. Actually built the basement right up to it, and then when beams came out, they basically just dropped the house literally about an inch or two, and it was set on the basement at that point in time. Right,
set on the I-beams that we had in the basement. And yeah, it was a pretty neat feat. And I wish we had videoed it. Back then we weren't videoing as much, but we do have some snapshots of it, don't we? You still have some? I think I do somewhere.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to look it up. We'd have to look it up and see what we got of that. Yeah. Now, like I said, Patrick is over there in Austria. Of course, now Patrick, my son's headquarters are over in, what did you say? Was it Sweden?
We're in Sweden. Well, actually, the true headquarters now are in Helsinki, Finland.
Finland. Okay, yeah. Helsinki, Finland. So not too far from Austria.
Closer than we are.
Yeah. Austria is still a little hop across there. I see. I'm trying to think. Is what from Finland?
Germany.
Yeah, they're over next to Germany. I know that and everything. Yeah, I told Patrick I'll send him a link and get him. Patrick, have you got an email? I'll get you in here too if you wanted to. Patrick, like I said, his he says he thinks his slang's pretty good to talk to us. If you want to send me a link, I'll throw you on the broadcast. But Patrick is on a lot of different sites that I go to also. Hey, Day Cap. Yeah, well, I'm glad you caught me on a Sunday for a change instead of hearing the replay or whatever. And like I said, for all the new guys that are getting in, I have to keep reintroducing. This is my son, Steve. So on Father's Day, I thought I would get my actual son. And he and I will be celebrating birthdays this next week. His birthday is one day before. Okay. I'm getting people dinging me here with everything. His birthday is one day before mine. His is Saturday, the 27th, and mine is Sunday, the 28th. So I'll be broadcasting next Sunday on my birthday. So I guess I ought to give you my address if anybody wants to send me a present. All presents accepted. But anyway, Steve will be, I guess I'll give out your age. Steve will be 47 next week. And I'll be 39 for the 30th time.
Yeah.
So that's our ages for next week, this coming week, or a week from today for me and everything. Well, thank you, Jeff. Happy Father's Day to all the other fathers out there too. I hope all of y'all have the pleasure of having a son or a daughter like I do. I have one of each. My daughter's back at home. But my son Steve lives here in Cherryville, our hometown, and I was able to get him on the broadcast this morning along with me because I felt like that's the best way I could celebrate Father's Day, is to actually have my son with me on the broadcast. I know some people have heard me talk about my son, so to bring him on is a pleasure for me. I'm very proud of him, and I hope that I've taught him well over the years, and what good knowledge I have. Like I said, he is way more educated than me. My son does have a college degree. I'm just a truck driver, and I'm not as well versed. He took after his mother, thank goodness, on the educational part. He's very sharp in math, and he did real well in high school, second in his class. Didn't make that first. That girl just beat you out, didn't she?
That's okay.
Yeah,
Mom will be first. I was just second.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tanya Beam was first on that, but I'm very proud of him. Like I said, he was second in his class, in his high school class, and then went on to NC State. And you graduated summa cum laude. What?
Cum laude.
Cum laude. Okay, in engineering, which is very good. I tell everybody I graduated cum laude, but that's all. I didn't. I graduated from high school, and I was a fairly good student. Just wasn't. I didn't do like him. Yeah, I'm a truck driver that owns a couple of businesses. Yeah, I hope my son is proud of what we've accomplished as a family. We've tried. I mean, we're not a rich family. We're a family that works hard, and we're a family that works good together. My years ago, when Steve was down, I'm gonna give y'all a little insight of this. A lot of people don't realize we had an internet business. We actually were the first internet service provider that came through this area. When Steve was down at State, he was already doing the internet. They had the internet, and it was very prevalent back then. This is in the early 90s. And you've got to realize that the internet was not even known much at all. I mean, to fast forward a little bit, when Steve got out, we actually started an internet service providing business. In other words, we were what they call an ISP. And we provided internet in our local area. It was dial-up. This is the old dial-up days.
And we had all the rows of the. It started. It's funny. We had all the 28.8 modems.
Right, 28.8,
just lines of 28.8 modems, and at times it looked like a spaghetti mess, and we were trying to troubleshoot. But
yeah, but
remember we had you had the graphics, we had the graphics business
right,
first.
right, so, yeah. I had a graphics. I had I've always kind of had side businesses and everything.
Yeah, I've always had side businesses.
Yeah, I got a long list of them, but that's one thing I've always liked. I mean, you have a primary business and then a side business to kind of supplement and see where it goes. And this is what we had. Yeah, we had a business that we started called Advanced Color Graphics. Steve was still in high school when we started that, and then we kept that through college, and then it kind of evolved into our internet business because Steve was very knowledgeable of that, and he was able to come back, and we were able to set up our own servers because of his computer engineering degree. And we actually started a family business right there, and it grew pretty good and did very well. We were in 7 counties and did pretty good for that. And then we were able to sell it right before everything hit in 2000 because everything was kind of changing and evolving a lot with ISDN and just a lot of different, UVerse and DSL and everything.
Fiber optic came in. We saw that fiber optic came in, and we knew that this was not going to be a mom and pop business anymore. It was the big guys were coming in, and
right,
infrastructure was coming in, and
so we sold, and we actually sold back to the people that helped us get started as an ISP, and then they had gotten bought out. So we were able to do that, and but like I said, it was a great learning opportunity, and financially too. We did real well with it. We sold it, made money on it, was able to help somebody get a house started. And a few other things like that. So it really worked out to be a good thing for us. But that kind of gives y'all a background on what we were doing at the time and how involved my son has been with me over the years. I've been like I said, I'm very proud of what he has done. He has helped me, and hopefully I've helped him grow within these situations like that. It's been a good family thing. And so here on Father's Day, I can kind of tell you how proud I am of my son because he didn't rebel like some sons do. He jumped in there.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he wasn't too rebellious. We won't get into all that, but he was 90% good. Yeah, he had a difference. He is very opinionated. He's like his old man, so he's very opinionated. So there's nothing. I would say he's got a strong will about himself, and we butted heads a couple of times, not too bad, but all that sort of stuff. Hey, James,
it's interesting how you turn into your dad as you get older, and I'm sure everybody online might have some recollection in their younger years, and then as they get older, they say, I just did something I wouldn't have done, but my dad would have done. So I slowly turned into my dad. Now I'm probably about the same way for the same person.
Yeah. Now that you have a 15-year-old,
yes,
you see the ornery things that you tested me on that you did are coming back to kind of haunt you, aren't they?
I'm paying for my childhood, that's for sure.
Yeah. He Steve's son, I kind of told him I laugh about things because Steve used to do some of the exact same things that his son is doing now. He would stay up late at night. He would play video games and now his son is doing that to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Because video games are better.
And all your friends now. So That's a big deal. All his friends are online all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It is different.
Which they're actually coming over today to play basketball, real basketball, not virtual basketball, but they're all going to come over today and actually play real outside basketball. They're normally playing.
Do you think their muscles will be good enough?
I don't know. They're all good kids, and they all play a sport of some kind. But I tell you, with unfortunately with this coronavirus, they've all been inside, and they've all been on that Xbox, and we'll see. It's going to be tough for everybody to get back to school come August. Hopefully, they go to school.
Right.
So, but yeah, they're all coming over today.
Oh, are they? Who's coming? Will Lee coming over?
Will and New Morris, maybe Stephen Cameron. I don't know who. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
who shows up.
Yeah, it's Father's Day, so I don't know if they planned it. I don't know that they actually ask anybody. They kind of made this on their own, but
yeah, that's good. When are they going to do that? After lunch sometime?
Yeah, they're going to do it about 2:00. So,
all right. Well, we're going to have lunch at my house.
Yep.
Now, did Heather get the cake that she was wanting to, or
no? That's for our birthday.
That's birthdays. Okay. Yeah. So, what are we going to do? Do Roma? Or we're going to do Roma Italian?
That's probably one of the few places open today.
Yeah.
Roma.
Yeah.
You better call it in early.
That's what I started to say. We'll have to get this called in to get your sister involved so she can get all this lined up for you.
That's right.
And all that good stuff. But getting back to our internet thing, I'm gonna kind of briefly touch on that again. Steve was very integral on that. Like I said, with his computer engineering degree, he was able to. I didn't know much about Linux and all this sort of stuff back then. I just knew it basically was Windows computer, and Mac computers were very hard to even get online back then because of the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs had actually fallen behind. Well, in 95, Jobs was still at his next, though, wasn't he? Jobs was, I think he was still at Next Computer then. And, you think back about 95, I got something, hold on. So I got something popping on the screen here. But you think back about 95 of how archaic that the internet even was then. And there's no way in the world we could have done something what we're doing right now. I mean, we've evolved so much. I mean, who would have thought that we could take a broadcast and we can go worldwide like we're doing right now on YouTube? Well, even YouTube was not even, you think back, guys, YouTube didn't start, I think, until about 98, somewhere around there, that Sergey Brin and the other guy, I can't remember his name, those guys got together out of Stanford and came up with YouTube. Well, not YouTube, but Google. Google was not even invented then. Back then we had, what was the big search engine?
Web crawler.
Wait, which one?
Web crawler was a big one. And then there was Alta Vista. And, we had worked on a little small search engine and
wish we'd got bigger.
I know. If you look back on what could have been, man, I wish I'd have put a lot more effort, but I was young. I was after a pretty little bank teller at the time, so more effort than that.
Yeah, well,
hey, it had to be married to get it. So it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve, your audio is fading, getting a little bit funky on me. Get up there closer to your mic. Your audio was getting a lot of watery sounding.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I hear you better now. I think you're going to be a little bit closer to that microphone. Evidently, is not the best. You probably should have had that lavalier that you had.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a.
You just got.
Chromebooks have a mic input on them, though.
They got no. They don't have a mic input. It's not USB. It's not USB, is it?
Well, probably didn't have drivers for it.
Well, that's probably true too. That's probably true too. But anyway, getting back, where Steve and I will get talking technical stuff like this. Steve and I both. We started in computers back in 1979, wasn't it? 79 or 80, somewhere in there. That or 81.
First, we got the color computer when I was 6, so that would have been 79.
Yeah,
that'd been 79. That was a Radio Shack, or then Tandy. Tandy, wasn't it? Tandy was a parent corporation, but it was a Radio Shack color computer, a big whopping 4K RAM, right? It was 4K RAM.
4K, and then I was able to upgrade it to 16K.
Yeah, and we had the computer club, and this is really how I got my start, as really who I became from that day. I mean, that was, if you look at everything we did, that was the start of it. To me being an engineer. So we had that 4K, and I love that thing. We had it hooked up through composite cables to that TV, and you had to learn to write programming because you had no programs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the only toy that I had. If the only toy that I had was a saw, I guess I'd have turned into a carpenter, because I'd have had to have sawed the house in half to not be bored.
Well, fortunately, I had him a computer. Well, I'll preface this a little bit. When my wife and I were going through Sears one afternoon, we were looking at different things, and it was near Christmas, and she said, "Well, she said, look at this. Said, this is interesting. Why don't we get this for the kids?" And what it was the gang of it was a little I don't know, an Atari or something, and all it had was Pong on it. It was just a game back and forth with a paddle, back and forth and back and forth. And at the time, I'd already seen the Tandy computers and the color computers and a few things. And I told my wife, I said, "Barbara, I said, we need to get a computer." Well, at the time, they were twice as much as those little games. The little games were like probably $120, where the Tandy computer was $300 and something. And I told her, I said, that will prove to be more beneficial to us for the kids than this little Pong game. And I said, they won't get as bored. And fortunately, Steve didn't. He jumped right in. And we had a couple of games with the Tandy computer too, so he could, see his interest on that. But I challenged Steve early on, even when he was just 6, 7 years old. I said, "Son, I will buy you a game each time you learn to program on the computer." So I challenged him, and he would write a program, and they could do something minor. It didn't have to be anything major. He would write his own program and learn how to program with it. And then I was able to buy him a cartridge at that time. They had the cartridges that you could plug into it. And then he could get Donkey Kong and stuff like that. So what I did, I
got for my birthday, and it was only had three levels to it. So it's funny thinking about that versus today's game. But they were the cartridges, and you plugged them in. And then the one that I laugh about, but I mean, this is just how technology's evolved. We moved from that to a cassette tape recorder to load the games. Well, all the games were sequential. So if you wanted Donkey Kong versus whatever Pac-Man, you had to wait 20 minutes to load Pac-Man and then keep loading Donkey Kong. So it would be 20, 30 minutes before you get to load your game. So I wish I could put that back with my son and push 20 to 30 minutes of something else for him.
Yeah. Well, and that was 8-bit technology too. I believe it was, wasn't it, Steve?
It might even been 4-bit.
Yeah, 4-bit or 8-bit, but
I think you're right. I think it was 8-bit.
But
it was Motorola. They had a Motorola processor in them, and then
yeah, they had the 6806, wasn't it?
No,
something like that.
Yeah, that's right. It was Motorola 68 series. So we had that, and
Is that the wife coming in?
yeah, we're gonna open it up to the outside. No, she's coming out to get some Roundup. So,
is she? Was she?
Fine. Just right here.
Hey, Heather. That's my lovely daughter-in-law I hear in the background. Yeah. Yeah, when you get a chance, put that back down. Your screen looks better with it down than it does up, Steve. So once you yeah, she's hurt your signal a little bit. I want your signal to be as good as possible. But anyway, I'll do the talking then while your signal's a little bit bad. Is she going to be putting the garage door back down?
Yeah, she's getting some stuff ready.
Okay. Heather, what you cooking for lunch?
Roma Italian.
That's what I said too.
That's what we already said. Yeah, we already figured that. Okay. Well, that's good. But getting back to the situation like what we're talking about with the computers, Steve, and here's this is since it's Father's Day. Hey, Dirt Boss, glad to see you in here. And Dirt Boss, since you're just popping in, this is my son, Steve. But as I was telling everybody, my challenge to Steve at the time was to write programs. Well, he continued, and there was a magazine out at the time called the Color Computer Magazine, the Coco Magazine, and they had a contest in there about what was called a one-liner or one something.
Yes,
and they wanted the people to write a program, or they wanted the program to be written. There goes the garage door back down. You look at that. But they challenged the people, and it was a contest. You get, I don't know what all you won, but Steve entered it and won, and I was very proud of him. And that was a nationwide contest at the time, and he. I forgot what you want, some programs and a few other little things.
Yeah.
I think they still owe you for something in there.
Yeah, they took several entries and just published them. And they did it. I think they did it quarterly, but yeah, it was neat. It was neat. And then they
and his program was published in the national magazine, and they had a copy of it. So if somebody wanted to download it or whatever, they could download it and put it on their color computer.
I think you had to type it all back then. You had to type everything. But they made the program small. Yeah, so we would actually get those magazines. That was really good. A really good time for me thinking back about it, because I still do some of the same things. You would get that magazine, and they would break up the projects, if you would, into multiple issues. So you type in part of it, and then you have to go back and type in the second part. But yeah, that was a neat time. It really was.
Well, it was a very good time to kind of grow your desire to want to do that at a very young age. And you were unique in the fact that not as many of your peers were doing that same thing. A lot of them were just grabbing the programs and playing them. And by doing what we did early on, I feel like I have a big part. And I, as a dad, now I'm going to take credit for this one. I'm going to take credit because your mom wanted the Pong game. You would have just been a gamer then.
Yeah.
and I am proud of the fact that this instilled you to want to learn to program yourself, and then I see the fruits of our labor. You've gone on to be a computer engineer.
I have learned one thing over the years that I didn't learn then. Once I have my own child, as a dad, you end up picking the toys that you think you might get to use too. So I think you probably were planning on using it, not just the Pong. So you might have convinced mom. You had a good reason to convince mom, but deep down, all our dads, the stuff we buy for especially our sons, we wouldn't mind playing with as well.
I still have a little bit of that in me, I think.
That's right. I know. I mean, but it was a good reason to get it, right?
That's right. It's exactly right. And it's served us well. And, so I'm like I said, I hope I haven't bored everybody out here today, but Steve and I are kind of reliving, our father-son relationship here. And I'm very proud of him, and, hopefully he's proud of me as a father. Yep. And what I've tried to teach him over the years. And like he was saying, the older we get, the more we turn into our fathers. I find myself turning into my father, and he says he sees the same thing himself, that he'll end up saying things to his son Michael, and he goes, "Oh God, that's what Dad said to me."
Yep.
And I usually throw it up to him that, yeah, deja vu. It's good. There's a few things that he does. Now, back in the day, I'm gonna give a little history. Back in the day when Steve was in high school, of course, I'm a nervous father. I didn't let him go to the traditional Myrtle Beach holiday vacation that a lot of the seniors did. And I helped him back.
I didn't.
And he didn't get to go. And he's thrown it up to me for years. But now that he's got his own 15-year-old son, I keep telling him, give me 3 more years. I'm going to see if you make the same decision. And I think he will, because it's a situation that, you're very protective. And now our grandson, Michael, just got his permit this week. Yep. He turned 15 Tuesday, and Steve and I have been having him out driving with us and everything. So that's sort of a rite of passage right there for us too. And so I've taken him out, and I'm showing him some of the things that I taught Steve, and Steve's been taking him out. And I think Steve fusses at him more. I teach him more. Steve fusses at him more.
Pretty good. He's had a lot more driving experience with everything that he's done on the farm with you.
Yeah.
And so he's done okay. Been kind of lucky with that. So,
early on, I've always tried to get him involved with things, because unfortunately at the time when Steve was turning 16, I didn't have as much time to let him be involved with some of the mechanical things as much. And his mother was always real tight on me on that too. Don't let him do this. Don't let him do that. So I've kind of made a point to take Michael out and let him be involved safely with things. Although your wife gets a little bit scared about it, but
he's our only one.
Yeah, he's your only son and my only grandson. So I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that I've got to be very protective of him also. So, but that being said, I think it's a good thing and everything. So that's the way it is. And guys, I hope everybody. Like I said, I'm very proud of my son here. My daughter's too shy to come on, but I'm very proud of my son. So the guys in here, I hope you can understand. Being Father's Day, I felt this was the best thing that I possibly could do, is to actually bring my son on the broadcast with me. And I'm like I said, I'm very proud of him. And Steve helps me in a lot of ways, even to this day. He'll help me. He's helped me do things out here at the Napa store. Hey, Everyday Fleet Tech. But Steve's actually, if I can't see it, maybe I'll say it one little thing. Steve got his ASE certification out here for the shop because I needed that with the Napa store. So Steve's good at things like that. So we were able to get an ASE certification to do some qualifications through Napa. And so I'm very proud that Steve does that. And every year he renews his electrical license too. So I can use him as a licensed electrician out here sometimes. So he is a licensed electrician, electrical engineer, and ASE certified too, aren't you?
Yeah. Just we do. We make a pretty good team. So it's done okay.
I think so too. And over the years, like I said, a lot of people have asked me why didn't I bring my son into the trucking industry. Well, my son is too smart to be into the trucking industry, and it really hasn't been his thing. Steve's never really desired. Had he wanted to learn to do that more, I probably would have brought him in. But he's smarter than me, so he's an engineer. And
I like driving the trucks, though.
Yeah. Over the years, he's gotten more mechanical and everything. And as the business evolves, of course, I don't know if he would want the headache. We've got a good group coming in to help us that we're feeling good about, and sort of be like a stepbrother to Steve a little bit. Landon Walker and his wife are working side by side with us, and they're going to probably basically take over the trucking business and run it, continue it on, because it's getting to the point that I'm going to age out, although I look so young. But I'm going to age out on this, and I need to have myself prepared, because I wouldn't want to throw all this on to Steve and Dina and have them have to continue on with what it requires with FedEx, because FedEx is they work me 24 hours a day pretty much. So we have brought this young couple, Landon and Christy, in, and they're working side by side with us. And hopefully after I'm out of the business, they'll be able to continue our business, and the business will continue to grow. And Steve won't have to, give up what he's built over the years, because Steve has built his own career path. And I would hate to disrupt it to force him into the trucking business just because I may need the help. So a lot of people have asked that question, why that we have done this, and I think you agree with it too, don't you, Steve? Of the way we're doing this, because it gives him the freedom. But basically, Steve just wants whatever money I can get out of this darn thing. You don't want to drive a truck, do you? Yeah. Steve. But Steve helps me in any way that he can within the capacity that he has. But I don't feel like that I should force that onto him. And at that point, it would be, he would have to give up a lot to come over here into the trucking industry, and I wouldn't want to do that. And same thing with his son, and whatever his son turns out to be, I think he would feel the same way too. But we have a Napa store. If he ever decides to do something within that parameters, he might. That would be a little more along his lines, as opposed to doing the trucking part. So we've got some things we're working for the future for the family, and hopefully it'll be all right. All right, heavy machinery. I know you've got a long. Well, you're already way into the afternoon over there. Well, you take care, and I'll catch you later. And hopefully we're not boring our people out here for our our family story here, but they can get a kind of insight of what we're doing and how we're running our business. And I think it's a good thing. I'm happy with the way things are going. But what do you think, son? Are you happy the way things are going?
Yeah, yeah. I'm proud of you. You've been able to. One of the things that happened a few years ago when that one building, which would be Mom's dad, my grandfather, one of his buildings actually burned, and that really bothered me. And I was happy to see that.
Well, I bought. What to explain? Well, yeah. Well, what to explain a little bit? What had happened? The family had actually sold one of the original mill buildings that my father-in-law had over the years, and it was out of the family. And this guy he was doing. He had a marble place, Gats of Marble, and we don't know what happened, but the old original building that had been there for 60 years, caught on fire and burned down. And about how long has it been? About 6-7 years ago.
Yeah,
I bought that back from him. It was just a slab there for a number of years. It was just an empty slab. So I bought that property back from Bob Gatza. He had that and about 15 acres of land that he had bought from our family. And I bought all that back. So I'm gradually buying that back. And then we built a new shop building. I have one shop, and then we built a second shop on that structure. So, yeah, we're trying to get that repurposed and everything. And repurposing the family farm has been a sort of a goal of mine. The family has about 75 to 100 acres. Well, we don't now. We've sold off several of it, but we probably still have 50 acres of land left. And my goal is to buy it. I don't know why, because I'm not going to farm it, but I just want it back if we can. And if we can get that, and then I'll have maybe something left for my children, have that and the buildings and a few other things. So that's sort of my goal to do that. And it's fun. It's a family thing, and it's something that we can, as a family, can be hopefully proud of what we've got and been able to retain. And of course, over here at the Napa store, we bought this from another established family in town, and we're able to repurpose this building too, and bring it back to it had kind of fell in disrepair. This is a former Ford dealership, as you'll see over my head, the Ford sign.
It's a really nice building. I know you and Mom put a lot of effort into it, and it really looks good, and it's good. It was an old building in town. It was really a landmark in town, and it's good to see it back to a new building, because it really was a landmark. It's one of the first auto dealerships in the town, Marvin Beam Ford, and so now it's a really nice building. Got the Napa there. I was looking. You had some Napa tool reviews on there that looked like they had a lot of reviews on that one truck. That one, not a lift, the little rolling.
The lift.
No, it wasn't the lift. The
Ramp.
Well, ramps. There you go. I was trying to think.
Yeah.
Trying to find my ramps, but yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, they're doing good. They're really helpful. Jim's one that wanted those. Jim had a set like that when he was working in New York, and he saw them and he said, "We need to get this." I said, "Okay." They were expensive. That's not a cheap set of ramps, because I think they're about $900.
Yeah, and that was with the wheels. I watched the video. I thought, wow, that's neat, because I've got that your old set. I've repurposed them. That old set, I use it for my lawnmower, and I had to drag them out every time. I've had a lot of lawnmower problems lately, but I drag them out quite a bit, seems like.
Yeah. Well, Everyday Fleet Tech, I appreciate that. Yeah, he says, I'm going to put this up here, Steve. Whoops. Let me show that if I can. Yeah. Here's what Everyday Fleet Tech is: a mechanic down at, I think he works for one of the major, I don't know if it's Delta Airlines, I think, or one of them in Atlanta. He's,
Yep.
yeah. Well, and that I guess that's the American dream, like you're saying, Fleet Tech, because that's you want to be able to pass on something to your children. To me, that's what I want to do. If I wanted to stop and spend the money that I've made over the years, I could. He'd be pissed off at me, but he wants me to continue on. But
and you have.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and like I said, I'm when you look back in life, and like I said, I'm very fortunate. My wife and I had children young. Steve's only 22 years younger than me. My daughter's 20 years younger than me, and I'm glad that I had children young enough that I grew up with them, and now that I'm an older adult and they're getting older too,
Yep.
we can appreciate things together, and it's pretty neat. And so I hope this has been a good Father's Day story and everything from the Jones family. This being, like I said, I'm Mike Jones, and this is my son Steve. He's actually a junior. He's Michael Stephen Jones Jr., but we call him Steve. We wanted him to have his own unique name, so he took the middle name, and I go by the first name. And like I said, I'm very proud of him. So I'm gonna get off here, guys. I've enjoyed this broadcast. We've been on here about an hour, and I hope everybody that's jumped in has enjoyed what we've had to say. And come back and catch us another day. And I'm gonna end the broadcast, and I appreciate everybody being in here. See you
guys and gals and gals.